Why, friends? There's something quietly brewing in the American education system right now, something that hasn't made headline news yet, but might just reshape how public universities operate in the future. The U.S. Department of Justice has launched a formal investigation into the University of California system, claiming that it may be engaged in discriminatory employment practices based on race or sex. Now, at first glance, you might think, isn't this the same University of California that has historically championed diversity, equity, and inclusion? So why is the federal government stepping in now? What does this mean for hiring, for merit, for the very future of how universities run? That's the mystery we're going to unravel today. So if this kind of deep dive into real stories that shape policy and society interests you, do consider subscribing to Mr. America. Because what's happening here might just be a much bigger signal about where America is heading in its battles over race, gender, and meritocracy. Let's start with the core of the DOJ's claim. The Justice Department's Civil Rights Division has formally notified the University of California that it is under investigation under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which bans discrimination in employment based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. They believe UC's hiring processes may have violated this federal law. Now here's where it gets intriguing. The UC system isn't just one college, it's 10 campuses including UCLA, UC Berkeley, and UC San Diego. And it employs over 230,000 staff and faculty. That makes this one of the largest higher education employers in the U.S. So what hiring practices are under scrutiny? Let's break it down. Over the past few years, many UC campuses, like several elite universities, have required diversity statements in faculty applications. Applicants are sometimes asked to describe how they would support DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in their teaching, research, or campus life. While defenders argue that this encourages inclusive environments, critics, and now the DOJ, argue it may have created ideological gatekeeping, meaning some applicants, especially those who refuse to write such statements or don't use the right language, may be silently screened out, regardless of their academic merit. That's where the DOJ steps in, questioning whether such practices amount to indirect discrimination. Now pause and think. How do you balance the goal of diversity with the principles of fairness and free expression? I'd love to hear your take. Do you think requiring diversity statements is fair or biased? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This investigation didn't come out of nowhere. Over the last 12 months, there's been a growing backlash against DEI policies, not just in education but also in corporate hiring. In fact, more than 35 states have introduced or passed laws limiting how race and gender can be factored into hiring or education policy, especially after the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action in college admissions in 2023. What's fascinating is that the DOJ, under the Biden administration, not a Republican one, is still opening this investigation. It shows that even in liberal administrations, there are internal tensions about how far diversity policies should go. And if you've made it this far into the video, maybe consider subscribing, because here on Mr. America, we dive deep into stories that mainstream media often glosses over. So, what happens next? The DOJ will likely request extensive internal documents, hiring data, applicant materials, emails, and policy frameworks. The investigation might take months, even a year. If it finds violations, the University of California could face federal penalties, a consent decree requiring changes to their hiring process, public legal battles that reignite debates about merit versus identity, but more than that, it will send a signal to every university, public agency, and even companies. You cannot push diversity in a way that might punish merit or ideological difference. At the heart of this lies a deeper question that America has wrestled with for decades. Can equity and merit coexist, or do they often pull in opposite directions? Think about this. If someone with impeccable qualifications gets rejected from a job because they didn't write a politically correct diversity statement, is that progress, or is it another form of discrimination? And yet, if universities don't actively support diversity, how do we ensure the system doesn't revert back to old biases? This is the tightrope America is walking right now. Hey, if this video gave you a new perspective, please do share it with a friend who's into real conversations about society and policy, and let me know in the comments, do you think the DOJ is overstepping, or is this a much-needed correction? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a lot more coming your way. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Mr. America signing off.